Where do you start as a new homeschooling mom? I'm going to share a couple of tips in this video just to help you out as a beginner homeschooling mom. So in the previous two videos, I tackled the legalities of homeschool, not because those are the most important things that you needed to know about your homeschool. Those technical things, they are important. Today, I want to touch on a very important topic, which is going to be the heart of homeschool. I don't think you can successfully homeschool if you do not have the right mentality, the right posture coming into homeschool. I'm sharing this to fortify you for those moments when questions and thoughts of doubt start to rise up in your mind, and you thinking as a homeschooling mom, am I competent to even homeschool my kids? Am I damaging my kids? Am I going to ruin my kids' life? Should I send them back to public school? All those thoughts. I've had those thoughts. Homeschooling moms, they have those kind of thoughts, and it is a normal part of the process. Firstly, I'm going to tackle the mindset of homeschooling. I want to tackle the tool sets of homeschooling that you need and the skill set. So this is very key. Here's point number one. Start with the end in mind. So I want you to sit as you think about your homeschooling, as you look at your children and ask yourself this question: where do I want to see my kids as adults? What kind of adults am I raising? What kind of citizens am I raising? Because you need to start with the end, so that when you know the end, then you can go and backtrack and start moving towards that desired end. So you are, in a sense, developing a homeschool why, because homeschooling is not easy. Homeschooling is worth it, but homeschooling is not easy. Homeschooling is you choosing a narrow path, a path that is less traveled. And it's important that you go into this endeavor being very firm and firmly rooted in your why, having a vision of what you are wanting to achieve through your homeschool. You need to develop a strong why, so that when the going gets tough, you remember why you're doing this, and that will help you stand the test of time and the test of trials. Okay, and this one is very important as well. Prioritize building your relationship with your kids. Remember, your kids used to go to school. You didn't have that time with your kids, and now that your kids are back home with you on a full-time basis, you need to go and now prioritize that relationship with your kids and build that up, because where there is love, learning becomes a natural process, a natural part of life. And when you start building this relationship with your children, something very beautiful is going to happen. You will start to recognize their interest. You start recognizing who they are. You will start to recognize their giftings, and you will start to know the questions, what they're curious about, the questions that they're asking. And this is where I'm going to advise you to have somewhere to jot this down. You need to be very good at taking notes. You need to be very good at taking in feedback. So get a notebook, and so create sections for your different children. And then in that section, you're going to write, when your children are curious and are asking you questions, you're going to write that down. When you notice something very unique about your children, you're going to write that down. When you know special moments, you're going to write about the moment. What were you doing, and what was key about it? So this is important. And then with this information, we are going somewhere. Number two is be a mom and create a nurturing home. Don't try to be a school teacher and replicate the school in your home. That is a big mistake. Remember, you are mommy, you are their mommy. What sets you apart from a regular teacher, qualified or not, is the fact that you are their mother and you love your children, and there is no one who can love your children more than you. You want the best for your children, and you know what? You will go all out for it. Let me tell you, you don't need a qualification to homeschool your kids. And no teacher is better than you because they qualified. You know what makes you the best person to be the one who is teaching your children, the best person to be discipling your children, is because you love them, because they are your own. So you will never give your children anything that will harm them. That is the thing that makes you the best. The biggest thing is your mindset. Your mindset needs to be in the right place. This is about your children. It's not about the curriculum. It's not about the government. This is about your children. Your children come first. They should be prioritized. It's about developing your relationship with your children, because you're grooming a whole child. You are going to educate a whole child, mind, body, and spirit. You're going to develop their character. You're going to help them become academically sound, and you are going to help them to be able to develop good relationships in their lives. That is looking at the child as a whole being, not just focusing on the academics. The academics are important, but there are various aspects that also need attention when it comes to the life of your child. And then I think this one ties to the one that I just mentioned about taking notes about your kids. Mindset that you need to come into homeschooling with is, I need to become a student of my children. I need to know how my children learn. Are my children visual learners? Are they auditory learners? Are they kinesthetic learners? And you're going to notice all of these things by spending time with your children, by being engaged. And that thing will help you to pick the right curriculum. That is why everything doesn't have to be formal. You don't need the formal homeschooling room. It's nice to have it. I started out watching all the homeschool YouTubers, looking at all the nice homeschooling room, and I took my focus. I made the homeschool room, I made the curriculum my focus, I made the homeschool room my focus, I made all these things my focus. It was never about those things, but it was about my children. If I become a student of my own children, and that is where keeping a notebook for your children, where you jot down their interests, you jot down the questions that they have, you jot down what they like, what they enjoyed, the great moments of your homeschool. Because let me tell you, one day you will go through that book, you start reading all those things. You learn this about your child. You learn that they are gifted in this area. You learn that they are very good at this, that you didn't know. Because some of these things that we don't know, because our children used to go to school and we didn't have that time with them. We didn't do certain things together. We didn't try to do math together. We didn't try to learn how to read together. And so that bonding didn't happen because it was happening at school, right? All these things were happening at school. But now we have the opportunity to restore the family dynamic, to restore that bond, to restore that unity, to restore even your authority as a person who can speak to your children and speak truth and speak life to them. Because sometimes, when your children are learning at school, they think the teachers are the smart ones. And when they come home and you tell them something, they think, you don't know, my teacher knows all the answers. So it's the restoration of everything. When you find those nice findings, those beautiful findings, record them, keep them in that book, because one day you will need them and you will go through that and it will be the greatest encouragement for you. So like I said, I used to focus on the homeschool room. I used to focus on these things. And let me tell you what that did to me. It burned me out, because I was looking at, I need my homeschool room now needs this. And that point in time, you might find that you are stretched financially. You are buying all sorts of things that you don't necessarily need. I didn't need things on the wall. I didn't need ample tables. My dining room is perfectly fine to homeschool. It is a table after all. It has 6 chairs and I've got 4 kids. So this thing is sufficient. I don't need a desk. I don't need to try to create a school in my home. We can use what we don't need the whiteboard on the wall. We can just use those small whiteboards, and then they can do their math problems on there, and then they can put it together with their books tucked away somewhere, where sometimes you can forget about the books. It's good sometimes to just forget about the books, because you don't want your life to revolve around this homeschool, because you don't want to burn out, and you want to create something that is sustainable. When you make learning a part of your life, then learning becomes sustainable. But when it's all about school and it's all about cramming, it's all about doing the exam, the learning it's not fun. And the kids, they're thinking, it's like this mentality, the school mentality, where after matric, I don't want to see myself with books anymore, because everything was just drudgery. Everything was just, they were coerced into doing things. They were forced into doing things, and it wasn't enjoyable at all. We don't want that. We want our children to love learning. We want our children to be lifelong learners. So by doing that, you need to create an environment conducive to the outcome that you want to see in your homeschool. And that is, spending the time. I think the one thing that I love, I love just cuddling on the couch and with just one-on-one with my kids, just having them at different times, but just like them going with them to the library, and they choose their own books, and me cuddling up with them, and then I read the story to them, and then where I project the voices and they laugh. It's nice for us. And sometimes we sit and I color with them, and all those things, they are very, very, very key to developing a child. Because remember, your child has also emotional needs, and we shouldn't forget those emotional needs, because now we have taken on the responsibility. We think, okay, fine, now I've taken the responsibility to educate my children, and now it's on my shoulders. I need to make sure that, she knows how to do this, that, and the other. And let me tell you, your children are gonna learn, and they're gonna learn at their own pace, and they're gonna learn at different times. And don't put a limit on your children. Like when I look at my daughter who is in grade 1, the grade 1 curriculum, like I said, the math curriculum is not challenging for her, to a point where the other day I took my sister-in-law's daughter's book, who is in grade 3. She's doing impact grade 3. I took her book and I gave it to my grade 1 learner, her math book, and guess what? She could do the sums. She did it. So okay, it's nice when we see it like that, but now think about if your child is supposed to be reading at this level and they're not reading at that level. Don't panic. Take that energy, invest it into sitting with your child more often and read books to them. Read to them. And you'll find that through you reading and spending time loving on your child, not making it a stress, then you'll find that the reading will continue to progress. It will continue to grow, and she will become a better reader. And then when it comes to picking curriculum, don't fall into the pressure of picking the curriculum because it's popular, because so and so says it's a wonderful curriculum. What I know is that what works for some person may not work for you, and what doesn't work for me may work for you. So what others say is not necessarily the thing that should be the final thing that makes you pick that particular curriculum. It's nice to read reviews. It's nice to hear reviews about people telling you that this is why, because we are all looking for different things in the curriculum. What I'm looking for in a curriculum may not necessarily be what you are looking for in the curriculum. So with curriculum, I promise you, you're going to pick a curriculum and think, why did I even pick this curriculum? It's gonna happen, and that is fine. That is why I would advise you in the beginning, as a beginner, try to use free curriculum while you're still looking at this, because remember, everything is new to you. So get free curriculum, or go get curriculum from the thrift store, and then use that type of curriculum and realize, okay, am I willing to invest in this? Because imagine now you buy a curriculum that costs a lot of money, and when it gets there you find that this curriculum is just a frustration, and you've put in so much money into it. It's not going to be easy for you to say, I'm going to check it out and I'm going to buy another curriculum, because remember, most homeschooling families are one income families. So the money is a factor that we need to factor into our decisions, even as we pick curriculum. So I would say, sometimes if you know somebody who is homeschooling and who can borrow you curriculum to try out for a certain period, do that. If you can ask for sample pages, like I know when it comes to what's this curriculum, Gather Around Homeschool, they give you sample pages. Sometimes take the sample pages, try it out. It's the good and the beautiful. It's free. Go to the thrift store, buy CAPS test books secondhand, try them out, see what works, and then try all sorts of things. Like, just in the beginning you are trying things out, so you're not going to be sure about what to pick. And that is why I say chances are you are going to pick something and you're going to think it doesn't work. I had to pivot numerous times, and even now I'm still pivoting, and guess what, it's okay, because remember, at the end of the day, kids are learning. When I look at my kids, okay, I can say when it comes to record keeping, I had to learn. When it comes to the laws, I had to learn. When it comes to the curriculum, I had to learn. All these things I had to learn, and my learning means there was a trial, there was error in all of those things. But here is the thing that has been consistent through and through and through and through, that I can tell you, is that my kids are learning. My kids are learning. And the learning is not just me looking at the academics. It's, why I'm saying my kids are always learning, is because I'm not primarily looking at the academics. When I look at my teenager, she's 15, and when I think by the time when she got out of school, she was in grade 5, now she's in grade 9. She was in grade 5, she didn't know much. Right now, when I look at the skills she has developed, she now has her own business. She's making her own money. I'm teaching her about financial skills and financial management. My daughter can bake to a point where I can say to her, breakfast is on you. She will prepare breakfast. She'll make pancakes. She can break bread. She knows things that even adults don't even know. She knows how to make syrup from scratch. She knows how to make granola. All these things that I know, I always transfer. What I know, I transfer it to her because I understand that as a mom, I need to impart onto her because she is going to be a homemaker one day. She is going to be a wife one day. She's going to be a mother one day. I'm not just putting in academics so that she can try to be a boss babe and think that homemaking is not worth her time and think that being a mother is not worth her time. We have to have a bigger picture over academics. It's not just about the academics, but who is this person going to be later on? This is going to be somebody's mother. This is going to be somebody's wife. Am I training her on how to be a wife? Even by the way I model myself before her. We need to consider those things. Those things that are important. Like, one thing that you need to learn as a homemaker is how to manage finances. Am I teaching my children how to manage finances? Am I giving them an opportunity? For me, I decided I'm not going to give my children allowances because I don't want to give them a false reality about life. Okay, no one is going to come and give you an allowance. An allowance is like a grant. No one is going to come here and give you grants because you need money. I teach my kids that money comes from work, doing something valuable for somebody else. Money comes from serving another human being, and that is a high honor. That is something that is of value, and you need to do it with excellence, and you need to do it to the best of your ability, right? And that is how I do character development in my homeschool. If you want, let me know if I should create this video, because I thought about creating it, but I'm thinking if anybody would be interested in such a video where I will be sharing how to develop your child's character without curriculum. Here's the thing that I did with my children the other day. I was teaching them in the Bible about stewardship. I was teaching them about being a manager. And I wanted to test, because I teach and then I allow the knowledge to become understanding, but I want to see this knowledge and understanding moving and becoming wisdom. So one day, out of the blue, I didn't tell them in advance. I came and they thought, okay, this is, we are here gathered around the table, we are going to do Bible. I said, okay, guys, at the beginning of the year, you wanted all sorts of stationery. You wanted colored pens, you wanted cookies, you wanted all these sorts of things, highlighters and all these nice things, and you got those things. But now I want to see that you have been faithful with what has been entrusted to you. And then I spoke to my daughter and I said, I bought you 12 crayons. Can you show me 12 crayons? And she had to count them out one by one. And I had to see, are they even sharpened? You have a sharpener. Why are you not sharpening your pencils? And out of all three of them, I found that only one still had their stationery intact. And that was February. They got the stationery 17 January. And then now it was February. Some things are missing and all that. You know what I did? I took back all the stationery, and only the one that had the stationery intact and everything was, and she knew exactly, and she was taking care of it, she was the one who was allowed to keep the stationery. These other ones, I took everything, and now I control the stationery, and I will tell them, and I will take the stationery, and only when I take it out, they're allowed to use it. What am I doing? I am training them. I'm instilling discipline at a very young age, because you know what the Bible says? It says, to him who is faithful with the little, much will be entrusted to them. But the one who is faithful in the little things, even what he has will be taken away from them. And then that's when I went in with the scripture, but that scripture became a living thing to them, and they would say, and after that they started to become alert. I was teaching them about diligence and about the spirit of excellence, reading in the book of Daniel, and I was teaching them about excellence. And one of my daughters was just doing horrible work. The work was not neat. When she made a mistake, she just scratch it out, and the work was not neat at all. You know what I did? To teach her, to instill discipline, because discipline is trained. Discipline is not about smacking your kids and all that, but it's about making sure that you set rules, and once those rules they are violated, then there's going to be consequences. I took that book, I tore those pages out. I said, you're gonna start that work from the time you were doing untidy work up until now. You are going to start again. You are going to do it again. You know why I got that? Is because when the children of Israel didn't want to follow God's command, God made them go around the same mountain in the wilderness that was supposed to be 11 days. But because they were not willing to listen, God had to discipline them and allow them to be there 40 years. And they eventually didn't even go into the promised land because they were rebellious. So That's what I mean when I talk about discipline, is allowing your kids to experience the consequences of their action, because that is what will groom them. That is what will instill that character. My teenager she said as she wanted money the other day. She was telling me how she wanted money. I said, you know what how we get money? We think about serving other people. Can you just look around and look around your peers and see what they need and what you can provide them with? Just be concerned about other people. That's how you're gonna make money, make friends, make genuine interactions with people, just to find out where they are and try to serve them. And if you can do that, that's how you will make your money. And my daughter the other day came to me and said, you know, I noticed that, you know, she's participating a lot at church, and she said she noticed something, and then she wants to, you know, because she can bake and she can cook, and you know, when they're doing rehearsal, they don't have food, they're hungry, she could start providing food for them. I said, this exactly what I want. She got it. She got it. But it was only when I said no. In that moment, it seemed like it was probably painful for her, because I said, I am not going to give you allowances, because she was telling me about her other friends that are getting allowances, and I'm like, I'm not going to do allowances. I don't believe in allowances, because for me, an allowance, I don't know, I'm not saying if you're giving your children allowances that you should feel bad, but for me, you know, when I look at an allowance, I'm giving you an allowance for what? What did you do? I'm giving you an allowance for what? For me, that seems like a grant, you know? And I don't want my kids to have that attitude, that entitled spirit, that I'm supposed to do anything for them. What I'm supposed to do is to take care of them. And if they are eating and they are taking care of the house, that is enough. I don't need to give you allowance for anything. If you want extra money, figure out ways to get that extra money. And guess what? My teenager right now is able to make extra money on the side. She has started her own business. She has her own account, and she has paying clients who pay her into her account, and I'm teaching her how to manage that. It is because I said no to allowances, and that created an opportunity for her to think outside of the box. The box is children get allowances. That's the box. But I challenged her. I said, you're going to think outside of the box. I don't do allowances. I'm not going to give you an allowance, because I don't want you to think you are entitled. And look at her today. I'm very proud of her, because even, you know, she did my hair, she does our hair, and she does her siblings' hair. And sometimes I told her that I'm her investor. So I invest in her business, because I buy her all the things that she would want. If she says she needs this type of fiber, if she needs this equipment for her hair business, I invest in that, because I said, I am here to cheer you on. I'm here to make sure that whatever you need to develop yourself, I'm here to provide those materials. For me, when I go to buy her hair products and everything, it is part of her homeschooling, right? It's as good as I'm buying her curriculum, because she wanted this hair thing. I think if I get a picture from Take a Lot, I'll show you this hair thing where she puts her, you know, all these hair things that she buys. She wanted those things. I said to her, she said, Mommy, can you buy me? I was like, gladly, so I'll buy it, because for me, this is the same as curriculum. If I'm buying this, you are developing yourself. This is skill development, and this is good. I love that. It's also still talking about tool set. I want to say establish routines earlier on in your homeschool. This one is also an important one. Make sure that you have a routine. A routine is you have a flow in your home, and your children, they generally know what to expect. So develop that routine. Remember, when they went to school, there was a routine. You woke up at a certain time, probably the clothes and the uniform and everything was prepared. You made the lunches, and they would leave at a certain time, and they will be at school, and at school they had certain periods, and they would come back home. There was a routine. So now, even now, you need to develop a routine. It is very important to have a routine, and to also state when school will end. Because the one thing that I've realized with my children, when I didn't have a cutoff time, already you are working in your home. So there are times where you need to go do the laundry, you need to go cook, you need to go do things around the house. So it is important for you to have a framework of when. Usually this is the time I want us to start, and this is when I want us to end. It doesn't have to be rigid. It doesn't have to be like a strict timetable to say that 8 o'clock we're doing this, and 8:30 we're doing that, and 9:30 we're doing that. No, but a more of a framework, right? That this is the order in which we do things, and we try to be consistent with this order. And we have a goal. We have a start time goal, and we have an end time goal. So for us, for example, no matter what time I start, I want to start as early as possible. So, but at 2 o'clock, I want to stop homeschooling. At 2 o'clock, I'm done. Then at 2 o'clock, I'm going to dedicate, from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I'm dedicating time to work on my channel. If it is you, probably that time you want to also allocate time to developing a hobby, doing something that is of interest to you, because here's the thing, you don't want to burn out as a mom, you don't want to burn out as a homeschooling mom. So it is important for you to do other things other than homeschooling, because sometimes homeschooling can just be overwhelming and it will boggle you down. So you need that thing, that one thing. Maybe it's probably reading a book, or you just want to take a walk, but you want to allocate time for you to actually sit down and do something for yourself. Okay. And then for me, 4 o'clock, then I start prepping dinner. So my kids, the reason why I'm sharing this is that I realize a pattern. Before, when I didn't have a cutoff time to say that this is our stop time, I realized when I asked my kids to do something, they would take their time. They wouldn't be bothered. When probably I say, okay, it's time to do this, they'll say, oh, can we do it a bit later? You know, everything was just, because why? There's no frame around. Therefore, everything is just, there's no boundaries. And honestly, this is a lesson from the book of Genesis, right? God set clear boundaries, says, okay, the water is going to end here. The land is going to start here. This is what's going to happen. And framing everything, giving everything a place. So that's what you need to do with your routines in your homeschool, to say that, okay, we want to start homeschooling by this time. Or you tell your kids, by this time I expect you to be at the table. We are going to start with our read aloud. We're going to start with our Bible. I expect you to be sitting down at this time. Give them something to work towards. That way you are also moving along to the next point. You are building discipline. Discipline is training. You want your children to be trained. You want them to develop a level of diligence. You want your kids to be diligent in their homeschool, and you want to develop a standard of excellence in your home, in your homeschool. That's what you want to achieve. So you need to establish discipline very earlier on. Like for me, for example, in my home, this is one of our disciplines, right? We don't, at night we clean. I don't clean in the morning. Okay, at night we clean. We make sure that we sleep and the dishes are done, the kitchen is clean, our homeschool area is done, everything, all the living areas, they are reset. Every room is reset by the time we go to sleep. Then my kids, when they wake up in the morning, they know that they are cleaning their rooms, they're going to clean up in the morning, brush their teeth, get dressed, and they're gonna be having breakfast. That way it's easy for us to get into our homeschool as soon as possible. Because in earlier times, I didn't, when I was just starting out, you know, I was very relaxed and everything was very relaxed. As a result, there was no structure, there was no order, there was a lot of chaos. And that chaos, you know, it was just exhausting for everyone. I was exhausted, the kids were so exhausted. But at the end of the day, when we look at what we were doing, we're not even doing much, but we are so exhausted. Why? Because there's no structure, there's no form, and there's no training, there's no discipline. You need to sit down and determine what are the things that you need for you to function optimally. For me, I cannot function in a disorderly house. I cannot function when I'm surrounded by clutter. I cannot function when, you know, the house is dirty. For me, when we sit and we start to homeschool, my house is clean. You know, beds are made, we are clean, we are, you know, like we had breakfast, the breakfast dishes are washed and they are put away. Then we can sit down and we can homeschool. Another thing that I would also add into here is taking good care of yourself. You know, as mothers, we are very guilty of taking care of everybody else, and then we forget to even take care of ourselves. So like we give everybody our energy, and we to a point of exhaustion, and there's nothing left for us. So I'm gonna say, take care of yourself, mommy. Start in the Word of God. Wake up early before your children. Like wake up early to prepare yourself. Okay, to prepare, get yourself ready spiritually, physically, and mentally. So get up, read your Bible way before the kids wake up, because you cannot disciple your children if you are not discipled yourself. And then another thing is get a good breakfast in. If you need to go work out, do a morning workout, do that for yourself. Whatever fills your cup, do that for your children, because when you are running on empty, you're going to be frustrated. You're not going to have the patience. They like, teaching requires a lot of patience. You need to be patient with your children. Sometimes you will introduce a math concept and they're not getting it, and you will try to explain and they're not getting it, and you will try to explain and they're not getting it. Imagine if you are that day when it happens like that, and you just woke up late, maybe your kids woke you up, you didn't have the time to just sit and relax with a cup of coffee and maybe get your word in, and now you're snappy, and the homeschool day ends up becoming just one big mess. So I want to say, prioritize also taking care of yourself. And then the last one, when it comes to skill set, it's very important for you to develop the skill of planning. If you don't prepare, you are going to repair the following day. So it's like, even if you sleep and your house is messy, in the morning when you wake up, the first thing that you're going to do, you're not going to tackle the day's work. You are going to repair what was undone yesterday, and you start repairing that before you can go forward. And when it comes to the meals, this is something that I, honestly, the Holy Spirit taught me this one. And he taught me that cook once, eat twice. So at night when I make dinner, I'm making dinner and I'm making lunch at the same time. So I cook more food, and then we eat for dinner. Then we save the food. We know that is tomorrow's lunch. It saves on money, on groceries, and it saves on time, because in the morning all I have to think about is breakfast. That's why I'm saying I think about breakfast on the weekends, and then if possible, I try to do a lot of things in advance. Because I make the granola from scratch. I will make granola from scratch. I will make maybe some muffins, so that maybe we can have those muffins with some eggs, some protein in the morning, and some fruit. Or I'm gonna bake some bread. So I know that will take time. So I would rather do it over the weekend, freeze some of those things, and then during the week I just pull out things, make egg muffins, whatever the case may be, and then pull out those things when you need them in the mornings. Okay, so if that is overwhelming for you, because at some point it was overwhelming for me to do a lot of things on the weekends, because on Saturday it is my errand day, on Sunday I've got church commitments, and Sunday is my rest day, and I don't compromise on that. So another thing that can work is that okay, on the night before, as you are making dinner, and obviously you're cooking a big pot of the dinner that is going to also be your lunch, maybe at that point in time think about what will be for breakfast the following day. And then if you need to make pancakes, make the pancakes the night before, and then in the morning you can warm them up, whatever the case may be. Or just make sure that you do some sort of prep, so that tomorrow's breakfast, or at least know what breakfast would be, so that tomorrow you will hit the ground running. When it comes to curriculum, I couldn't unpack everything that I can tell you possibly about curriculum, especially if you want to DIY, especially if you want to homeschool frugally or homeschool for free. So I'm going to create a video talking about how to homeschool on a budget or homeschool with free resources in the next video that I'm going to create. Please let me know the tip that you think, this one I'm going to hang on to it. Let me know in the comment section down below, so that I know that this was not just me rambling, going on off a tangent, because it kind of feels washy-washy as I'm creating it. But I believe that this is going to come together. Most importantly, be the mom your children need. I want to leave you with this question. Would you consider success to be in your homeschool? Think about that. At the end of all of this, if now your children are older, what would you say? What would be that thing that says our homeschooling journey was successful? I want you to think about that. Is it because your kids got straight A's? Is it because they did everything in the time frame that the curriculum stipulated? Is it because they were registered with the DBE? Is it because they did art projects, a lot of art projects? Or is it because your children know the Lord, and they have chosen Christ for themselves? I'm talking about me now. You need to think about that for yourself. And they relate very well as siblings. The sibling relationship is a strong relationship. The family unit is a very strong unit, and as a result they've got discernment to pick the right friends. They are critical thinkers, and they can think outside of the box. They are problem solvers, and they just continue on learning because you showed them how to use the tools available to them. Think about it, mommy. I want you to think about it, and ask yourself, what does success look for me? Because we need to define this success. Because if we don't define it, people are going to define success for us. And you realize later on that their definition of success was not your definition of success. And you find that all this thing was just a labor in vain. Let it not be a labor in vain. But I'm telling you, if it's of love, it will never be a labor in vain. Thank you so much for watching.